Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Creatnprocess. In today's video, we'll look at how you can create vintage logo design using Photoshop and Illustrator. In a previous video, we have seen how you can create oldish vintage logo design in Illustrator. We have used offset part option and a blending option to create that effect. In this tutorial, we'll be creating out a couple of vintage logo design and we'll understand all the necessary steps you need to know to create out a classic vintage logo design. So the first step we're going to do is to convert all our images into path objects in Photoshop. After that, we'll export those path objects to Illustrator and convert them into vectors. Once the vectors are ready, we are ready to design our vintage logo design. So let's begin with the designing process. So over here, if you look at it, these are all the path objects which we have extracted from the images in Photoshop. If you zoom it in, you can see all the necessary details into like this. And after that, what we did over here is we jumped to Illustrator and we have converted them into vectors like these. So here, these are all the vector objects which we have extracted from an image. So we'll understand how you can extract a vector. How can we convert an image into vector just like this and use it to create any design you want? So let's understand this. So if I open my folder, you can see all the images I have used in this design. There are 5 images. So here it is, the 5 images. So what we'll do is we'll import these images in Photoshop and convert them into path objects. We'll begin with this. So over here, if I open Photoshop, let's create a new document. So go to File, New, and here let's set the document size. So we'll keep the document size around 2000 by 2000 and keeping the resolution around 300. Maybe you can keep it to less. Let's say we'll keep it around, let's say 72. Let's check it out what happens. Okay, so we have given 2000 by 2000 and the resolution around 72 and create. So here is our new document. Before we go further, what these images I have downloaded from the web, these are PNG images. That means they don't have background. If I break this, you can see these are all individual images without the background. But over here we got images with the background, so we can remove it in Photoshop very easily. So I'll just import this and drag and drop it to Photoshop. So here is our image. We'll just scale this up a little bit. So in Photoshop you can just scale it up and it will scale in proportion, so you don't need to press any shortcut to scale up proportionally. So here's our image. As you can see, it's metal, and what we need over here is we need to get something like this. So to get something like that, what we need to do is we'll go to layer first and let's convert it into rasterize. So I'll convert them into rasterized layer. So here is our image which is now rasterized. Now the first step we'll do is we'll add a little bit of sharpness to this image. As you can see, there's no sharpness over here, so I'll go to filter and sharpen and smart sharpen, and here we'll do some adjustments. So I'll increase this amount to around, let's say 250, and radius around, let's say 3, and this noise around 30. Okay, let's see how much sharpness it is. As you can see, I have increased the sharpness to the image and you can see over there. So I'll just click OK, and this is our first step, adding a little sharpness. Now the next step is to add a threshold. So I'll go over here in this, and here just go down and click threshold. So threshold will give you this black and white effect. So if you adjust the threshold value, you can see you can add or subtract the darkness. So here what we need to do is we need to add that how much you want to give shade and brightness. So over here we need something like this, but if you compare with our images, we got lots of detail over here. So what you need to do is we'll first set how much darkness you want to give. So let's say you want to give this much of darkness. Now let's add those details, and to do that we'll go to layer and let's select that image again, and now again we'll apply sharpen, smart sharpen, and here we'll add a little bit of values over here. So see, if I increase the amount over here, it will add sharpness, and that sharpness will add details to your design. So how much details you want to give, you can adjust it over here. Like reducing the sharpness will reduce the amount of details in the image, and with the radius value you can add more details. Like if I increase the radius, you'll be able to see much more details in your images. So as you can see, we got lots of details, but I'll keep it around this much, and I'll just adjust these 3 sliders just to get something like this. Like you want all small details as well, and I'll increase this as well just to see. Okay, so as you can see, as I increased the amount to too much, you can see there are lots of patches, lots of details, but it's looking very odd. So we'll reduce it around this much, and I'll just keep it around this much, and let's preview it again. If I reduce this radius value, you can see it clears up those details. So let's adjust the radius value around, let's say 3 again, and let's see. So these are all the small details and all the necessary patches over here. So what we did over here is we adjust these 3 sliders: amount, noise, and the reduce noise. So we have set it around medium. This is around 300, this is around 3, and this we have added around 40 to 50% just to reduce some noise in your design. And now if I click OK, here is our patch. And now we can again go to a threshold and just reduce the shade value over here, and this will like add those like tiny details in this. And if you compare it over here, as you can see, we got those over here as well. So this is how I have added these like tiny shapes in between, looking like a vector shape. So this way, and once you are done with your threshold value, just leave it, and after that we'll go to layer. And now what we'll do is we'll create a new layer. So press Command Alt Shift and E, and this will create out a new layer of the image. So this is single image, the single layer with the image. So now we'll work on this. So what we'll do is we'll go to select color range, and we are using color range to select only these the dark portions. So what we'll do is go over here and click shadow. Maybe it might be highlight in your case, so convert to shadow, and just to see this, and here we'll adjust the value. So if you increase the fuzziness value, it will sharpen your like details, and if you reduce it, it will soften it a little bit. So let's just keep it 100, arrange to 0, and click OK, and this has selected that black portion. Now I'll add a new layer on top, or maybe I'll just apply a mask to this first. So we already saved that selection. Now with the Control or Command press, click on thumbnail. This will make that selection. Add a new layer, and now using this tool, right click on this and make work path, and this will convert this into work path. We'll click OK, and here we go. We have created that path object of the like helmet. This is the helmet. Now we'll apply the color. So to apply it, go over here, click solid color, and here choose any color, black, and here we go. Our design is ready. And to deselect the path, I'll go to path layer and just click on the empty surface, and here is our image. And with the selection tool, you can just move it all around, and to change the color, you can just double click on this and just add a little bluish tint to it. I'll just unhide this background layer, and here we go. This is our first design. We have extracted it from the image, and now our path object is ready. This way we're gonna extract out all these images. Let's say you want to extract this, so I'll just import this one as well over here and press enter. I'll just hide this on, so I'll just scale this up a little bit, scale this up and enter. Now let's follow the same steps as we did in our first image. So what we did over here is we convert this into rasterize layer, and now let's add that sharpness. So I'll go to filter, sharpen, and smart sharpen, and as you can see, our images is a little blurred. So by adding a little sharpness to it, we are giving those details to these images. So we have given around 300, and this 3, and this around 30, and this has added that sharpness to our image. Now let's add the threshold layer. So I'll go over here and add a threshold layer, and this will convert that into black and white, and here you can adjust the range. So let's give it something, and as you can see, if I increase the lightness, we are missing some details in our face. So what I need is, we'll keep it something little darker just to see all the overall details over here, and we'll go back to the layer again and play around with the sharpness value. So filter, sharpen, and smart sharpen, and here we'll now again do the adjustment with the sharpness value. So as you can see, by adding these value again, it has already reduced that darkness and added more details. But let's reduce the details a little bit so that we can add some like brightness around here or here as well. So I'll just reduce the radius as well. these settings are going to be different for each and every images, so we have to know what are we looking for. I'm making sure that I'm getting all these details as well as the dark region is also there, so that I can use the threshold to remove those darkness. And I'll just increase this value, and I think this much setting is good for this image. I'll just click OK, and now I'll just go to double click on the threshold and let's brighten up. So if I increase the brightness, you can see we got that darkness here, and as well as we got all the necessary details. So if you want to remove it, you can remove it, and here we go, we got all this necessary details. We can make it lighter or darker, it's your choice. So we'll keep it around like this, and now I think this is good. So what I'll do is I'll go to layer again, and we'll follow the same steps. We'll create a single layer image, and to do that, press the shortcuts Command Alt Shift and E, and this will create a new layer. I'll just hide out all these background layer, and as you can see, this is a single image layer. Now let's work on this. We'll make a selection, so go to select and color range, and it will pick that like shadow region. We'll just adjust these value. For example, if you see that the selection is very harsh, you can use this fuzziness slider to reduce it, just to make it a little bit softer, darker, softer. So I'll just keep it around 60% and click OK, and this has selection, this has make that selection. Now we'll apply the mask, and our selection is saved. Now with the command pressed, click on thumbnail and just make the selection, add a new layer, and we'll select the selection tool like this, any selection tool, rectangular marker tool, anything, and right click on this and make work path, and then set the pixel to 2 pixel and then click OK, and this will convert this into path object. And here is our path object. Now let's apply the color, and to do that we'll follow the same steps. Go over here and apply solid color. Let's choose something bluish tone as well and click OK, and here is our path object with the applied color. I'll just hide this secondary layer, and this is our image, and deselect that path. So I'll just go over there and click on the empty space just to deselect and go back to a layer, and here we go, we have converted this into path object now. And I'll just unhide the previous design. I'll just place it and scale down, so it's very easy to scale. Just command or control T, and you got that, and scale it down with the Alt and Shift pressed. And I'll just keep it around here, enter. I'll just scale this down as well, command control T, and just scale down with the Shift pressed. I'll place it around here, enter. And now we have converted two images into a path object. Now let's do the same for the rest of the images. I like this car, classic car, so let's drag and drop it over here and enter. I'll just hide these rest of the layers, and let's work on this. First thing, convert this into rasterized layer. Okay, and let's apply the sharpness. So I'll go to filter, sharpen, and smart sharpen, and the first steps are very easy to follow. Once you know it, it's become very easy. And first step is around 300, and this 3 around 30, and click OK, and this will add that little sharpness to your image. This will make it easier to apply the threshold. That's why we're giving that first sharpness value. So now if I apply the threshold value over here, we can easily see the effect. I'll just reduce it like this, as you can see, and I'll go to again layer and just bring in that background layer and just play around with this. How much details you want to give to your car, you can do that. So I'll just keep it a little darker, and we'll go to layer again and select the image, and we'll again go to filter, sharpen, smart sharpen, and we'll add a little bit of this amount. So this will add that more details over here. As you can see, if we zoom it in, you can see it has added those details. If you remove the preview, you can see this was the original image, and now by adding sharpness you can add more details. So now if you want to reduce it, you can just use the radius slider to reduce the amount of details you want to your image. And if you want to give more details, you can just increase the radius value, and it will add more details to your image. So here we go, and I think this is looking great. So I'll keep it, click OK, and now we'll convert this image into single layer. So I'll just select the top layer, then Command Alt Shift and E, and here is our image. We'll just hide out all the secondary layers, and this is the single image. Now let's make the selection. Select color range, make a selection. So I'll keep it sharp and click OK, and now apply mask to it with the command or control press, click on thumbnail, make a selection, add a new layer, then select this marker tool and then right click and then make work path, and this has converted this into path object. Now to apply the color, go over here, solid color, and apply something, any color you want, and click OK. And here is our third image. We have converted this into path object. I'll go to path, click on the empty space and go again, and selecting this, just scale it down, command control T, and with the shift press just scale it down, keep it around here, and we'll hide out all these down layer. And here we go, here is our second and here's our first one. So just scale this up a little bit. The car is ready. Next is ship and this owl. So let's look at this, how you can convert that. And as you can see, as we have done 3 of the images, you might be noticing that every time there is some adjustment in the slider. So we have to do that because each time the brightness and the contrast of the image is different. So you have to look at the image and understand, and then do this adjustments and then export it. So for this ship image, we are again going to look at that. So the initial step is all similar. So the initial step is converting into rasterized image, right? And then go to filter and add a sharpness. So this is the initial step, which is common for all the images. So 300, 3 and 30. That's the same thing, just to add the initial sharpness. And the next step is quite different because we have to do the adjustments individually. So now we have added that threshold value, right? So add that threshold value and now just adjust the slider. And before we go further, I'll just hide out all these background, this one, except this, add a background shape like that. And now we'll do the adjustment in the threshold. So just do it, and as you can see, as I lower the value, we can see more details. So I want those details in this image, so we want something like this, right? I'll keep it something like this, around 75. And now we'll add more details using the smart sharpness option. So I'll go to layer back again and selecting that layer, go to filter, sharpen and smart sharpen. So as you can see, it's the same step. Now here the value might differ, so I'll just play around with this. As you can see, it has added that more details. I'll just reduce the value a little bit just to reduce those details, and if I increase the radius, we got more details in our image. So I'll just keep it around, let's say 11, and I think everything else is fine. So I just click OK. And here we go, the ship is also quite looking great. Now let's use the eraser tool, just erase this out because we don't need this extra pieces over here. So now let's create a single layer. Shortcut is Alt, Shift, Command and E. Press all together and this will form a new layer. Now make a selection, color range, OK, same thing, click OK, apply mask. Command pressed, click on thumbnail, add a new layer, and the steps is becoming very simpler as we are doing it repeatedly. And now I'll make a selection like that and right click and this make work path, click OK, and object is ready. Let's apply the solid color and let's choose any color, dark color, and click OK. And now I'll go to path and just click on it, and here we go. Our fourth object is also ready. I'll just reduce the size, command control T, reduce the size around this much and enter. So 4 stuff are ready, only the last piece is remaining, this owl. So I'll just drag it over here, and so this is how you can convert any image. Make sure that the background is white or transparent, because you don't need those background objects. So make sure your image doesn't have that background, but if it is, you need to first remove all of them, just leaving only the object you want, and then follow the step and you can create path object very easily in Photoshop. And the next step, we're gonna export that and import it in Illustrator and convert them into vector. So it's very easy, very simple. So let's finish this final image and let's jump to that step where we'll be converting them into vectors. So here is our image. I'll just hide all the rest of the image layers, and now scale this up just to make it a little bit bigger. Right click, rasterize layer, filter, sharpness, smart sharpness around 300. This is around 3 and this is around 30, and click OK. Then we have added the sharpness. Now add a threshold layer, click on it, and let's increase the darkness a little bit just to make sure we got all the details around the eyes and all, because if you keep it something like this, you're missing all the details. So for this image, as you can see, I'm giving a large value, so we have to give that just to see all these details. And once you have covered all your details like this, now let's add those tiny details using the sharpness option. So I'll go to the image and let's go over here, filter, sharpen, smart sharpen. So this smart sharpen option become very handy to add more details. As you can see, just adding that option, simple, just adding that option has given that more details. Now if you want to add more or reduce it, it's on you using these sliders. So let's do that. So here the amount is 300. As you can see, by increasing the amount to 300, it has given more details. So if I reduce it, let's see what happens. The details are reduced. So we need more details. I'll just keep it around, let's say 469, 470, just to add more details like this. And now I'll use the radius slider just to adjust a few more settings. So if I increase the radius, you see the details become little bigger. So right now it's become very big, so I'll just reduce it a few percent, so around, let's say 11, and let's check it out how it looks. It's more little detailed. I'll want to keep it a little bit smaller, so I'll just keep it around, let's say 9. Yep, I think 9.1 is better. By adding a little bit of noise value, increasing it, you can see the image become a little clearer. So I'll just click OK now. I think this is looking great. And now we're using the threshold slider. I'll just make it a little lighter. So here we go. By doing that, now you have added that little lightness, and I think this is looking great. And now if you want to do more adjustments, like if you see our original image, I did some adjustment with the eye, and what I did over here is I just used a brush and like eraser tool just to make that. So what we'll do is we'll just keep it like this. Now I'll just create a new layer. Make sure you're selecting the top layer and then applying that effect. Command or Shift and E. So here is our image. I'll just hide out all these background layers, and now make a selection, select color range, okay, keeping it 100 by 0, and click OK, and boom, applying mask. And here you can do some adjustments. So I'll use the brush tool and select color black, and let's try to apply it. So as you can see, with the black I can erase. So I'll just make it hard round brush and just make that eyeball shape over here. I'll do the same over here as well, so as to just erasing out the surrounding portion. So here is our eye. And now with the command press, click on this thumbnail and now add a new layer. Then select the marker tool, right click and make work path. Click OK. Let's apply the solid color and let's see how it looks. I did some adjustment with the eye, so I'll just hide this and deselect the path. Here we go. This is the owl we have created. Let's scale this down a little bit and let's unhide all these shapes. These are all the path objects we have created from the images. So the first one was helmet, second deer, car, shape, and you can see everything is scalable and they are path object. Now the next step we're gonna do is to export this path object to Illustrator, and for that let's open Illustrator, and here is our Illustrator. And as you can see, this is the final design we will be working on, we'll be creating. So each object is going to give you this amazing looking design. So let's bring in that helmet. So what I'll do is I'll go to Photoshop. So now to export it, I'll just select this image. So here, this is the helmet layer. If you select that, and now to export file, export, and if you slide down, you can see path to Illustrator. So this will export this path object into Illustrator fast. So as you can see, this is selected, color, fill one shape path. Here it is name, and click OK. And now let's choose a destination. We'll keep it here inside resource image, name it helmet, helmet, okay, and click OK. Let's do the same for the rest of the image. So I'll just select this deer, fill to, okay, file, export, path to Illustrator, and click OK, and we'll keep it DEER, deer, and click OK. This will save it. Let's select the car, file, export, path to Illustrator, and name it car, save. Then ship, path to Illustrator, okay, name it ship, save. Lastly, the owl. So select that, go to file, export, and file, path to Illustrator, Okay, OWL. Oh. And here we go. We have saved all the path object in the form of Illustrator. And if I open that folder, here is all the Illustrator file. Car, deer, helmet, and these are now in vector shapes. And now if I import any of this in Illustrator, it will open it very easily. Let's say you want to import it. So here is our Illustrator document, and let's import our first vector. So for our first design, we need the helmet. So I'll just drag and drop the helmet over here. So here's the helmet, drag and drop. And this will ask you this legacy artboard bounding. We just uncheck these and keeping only this crop area and click OK. And this will open it in a new document. So here it is. And as you can see, it's blank because it doesn't include the color. So what I will do is we'll select everything like this, and here's a helmet. Let's apply a color. So I'll just apply some, let's say, black color. And now as you can see, we don't have those details. We are missing those details. But if you select over here, you can see all those details are converted into smaller objects. This is the main, and on top of it, you got all these small details. So what you need to do is select everything, go to Pathfinder and click on this exclude. So this will exclude the top shape from our main object. Just click on it, and here we go. The top small pieces shapes has been excluded from that main object, and this is the output we got. So if you check it over here in Photoshop, here it is. This is the same thing which we exported from our Photoshop file, and this is vector, completely vector. Everything is editable. And now let's import the rest of it. So I'll just drag and drop it to a file just to work on it. So here it is. Just scale it down and we'll place it around here. Okay, and this way I'll just import all the rest of the vectors. So let's import it. So here, car, open it in Illustrator and just click OK, and everything will open in a new file. Just click and drag and select them, and then apply any color, and then go to Pathfinder over here and just click on this exclude option and just apply the color. And here we go. Our car file is also here. Now just drag and drop it and place it over here. Just scale it down, and here we go. Let's bring in the three of the shapes over here. I'll just open deer, owl, and ship. So open it. Okay. So I'm opening all the three at one. Everything will open in different file. And here, if you go to the file, I'll just select everything. This is a deer. Let's apply some color. Let's say black. And as you can see, it's the same. Here you're missing some details. The best thing to get that details is selecting everything and go to Pathfinder and click on exclude. Exclude will exclude out all the tiny details over there, and you got those details. Do the same for the owl. Select and then apply color, black. Okay, once you have applied the black color, you can see you are missing all the details. Just select them all. You got all these necessary details. We'll just exclude that out. So go to Pathfinder and click on exclude option and just apply the black color, and here we go. And the last shape, just click and drag just to select the shape, apply the color. Okay, and now go over here and exclude, and here we go. We got that shape. Just select and drag and drop it to our main file. So here's our shape. Scale down the size, and here we go. Let's bring in our all here. Select them, bring it over here and place it over here. Scale down the size, and here we go. Next, last deer. Select, drag and drop it over here. Scale down the size and place it over here. So the second step is also done. The first step was to convert the image into path object in Photoshop. The second step was to export those path objects from Photoshop to Illustrator and convert them into vectors. And as you can see, all our shapes are in vectors. So all our images have been converted into vector shapes. Let's apply some single color like this, just to make sure that it blends with our design. And as you can see, we're having that blend. It's looking great. This, and each tiny details are in vector shapes.